Hey guys, I just wanted to share with you something that I've been looking forward to. So let me kind of catch you up. This guy, are you okay? What's going on? Look over there. Look. So a couple of weeks ago, I don't know, maybe a month ago, um, I wanted to look into Planned Parenthood because being a Christian man, patriarch of my family, um, I know that the Planned Parenthood agenda is evil. I don't want to say I believe because obviously I do believe that the child deletion is um, child deletion is bad, and there's no justification for it in my opinion. But I wanted to look into the background of feminism, Planned Parenthood, and the connection because I believe that everything about feminism is the root of deconstructing the family unit, and we know that from the propaganda that they've pushed over the years. But I just wanted to look, get a better understanding of the history. So, about a week ago, from the time that this video is being made, I noticed that Joe Rogan had a guest on, and her name is Rachel Wilson, the author of this book that my cat's laying on. Dude, you gotta, what are you doing? So in Joe's interview, he's speaking to Rachel Wilson, and if you don't know who Rachel Wilson is, um, she is the wife of Andrew Wilson, and he is a person that debates. Got big during COVID, or got his start in COVID and got big after that. And he debates Christian ethics and things like that. So I've been following that guy for a while. And as I was looking for some information on feminism, I found Joe Rogan doing an interview with Rachel. And I didn't know she was working on a book, but her book is called, as you can see right here, Occult Feminism: The Secret History of Women's Liberation. Um, so who is she? Well, this is her. So let's see what she has to say.
It's all going to be, it's not going to be about the welfare of our children and communities anymore. It's going to be about things like abortion and birth control. And what are the only women's issues that you ever hear about anymore in politics? The right to abortion and things like access to birth control, access to abortion. It's like the only thing you hear now. Where are all the women, even on the right, like fighting for the things they were fighting for 150 years ago? Nowhere. It's all about, like even Trump frustrates me on this because he's like, we got to have more programs to get all the moms back to work. And I'm like, why? Why do you want to do that? Why do you want to push all the moms back to work? That's a terrible idea.
So it's funny because in my family, my kids, only one set of kids that has kids. My kids who have their own children, only one is trying to do the best they can at having mom stay at home and raise the kids, and that's what she's talking about here. So what has happened is society has kind of put us in a corner where we need two incomes in most cases, unless you make some serious sacrifices in your life, and you're super disciplined on budget, and it's just not easy to do. Anyway, that's what she's talking about here, and she's going to have a section in her book that talks about that. So I'm looking forward to reading that and seeing what her opinion is on a large scale. So let's continue.
Why do you think he's saying that?
He's a liberal and he's a feminist. He loves hiring women. It's probably his biggest Achilles heel. If he would stop hiring women and get rid of a lot of his problems. But he loves hiring women, and he's very pro working woman. He, like his first wife, one of the things he loved about her was she was very like successful in business and things like that. Ivanka, same thing. And yes, they have kids, but they have nannies and they have all the money in the world to like support them while they're off doing this sort of thing. But what happens to the average woman? The promise of feminism looks something like you're going to have the corner office. It looks like Sex in the City. You're going to have the corner office, and you're going to be in Paris over brunch having champagne and, you know, signing the ink on the next deal. And you're going to be doing all this exciting boss babe stuff. And then you can also have a kid, and, you know, the nanny will take care of the kid while you're doing all this important stuff at work. And it's just going to be amazing. The average woman like me ends up working a basic, like I'm a retail manager. I'm a waitress, you know, I'm a school teacher. I work a 12-hour nursing shift 4 nights a week. And I have to come home and take care of my kids and my family. And I feel like I can't do it all. It's too much. So a lot of women just aren't even having kids anymore. I'm sure you've looked at birth rates.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
So yeah, that's the depiction on social media, on regular media, on TV shows, movies, that there's this great image of the power woman, or the woman in charge kind of thing. And it's a direct competition. It always has been a direct competition with men. And it's not saying that men and women both can't have careers. It's not what I'm saying. But if you're going to raise children, that's what we're built to do, there's no question that mom at home is the best case scenario. Dad goes to work, mom stays at home, raises the kids, teaches the kids, gives them everything they need, preferably homeschooling, because you see what's going on in the colleges today. Yeah. So I'm real interested to see what her chapter in her book says about this. So they're talking about this Margaret Sanger. So I'll let her talk a little bit more on this video here, this video segment. So
They are.
It's weird that no one's talking about it, and there was always this narrative about overpopulation.
Yes.
And it's only been over the last decade or so that people start talking about population collapse and the catastrophic impacts of that, particularly on some foreign countries like South Korea, Japan. Yes. They do not have a replacement rate. Right.
There won't be a South Korea in the near future if something radical doesn't happen over there. But this is there's a whole nother chapter in the book dedicated to this whole thing and where this came from, the Malthusian population agenda.
So I had to look this up. So that she says there's a whole chapter on this. The Malthusian population theory proposes that exponential population growth will inevitably outpace linear food production, leading to crisis, critiques, and limitations. So what that theory, the Malthusian population agenda theory, doesn't take into account is technological advantages, advancements rather. The agricultural revolution have significantly increased food production. So it doesn't take into account the technological advancements of food, of farming.
Margaret Sanger gave me nightmares writing the chapter about her. I literally had nightmares about her because she was so evil. Like, it's hard to, everybody's heard what she said about black people by now. Most people have heard that.
What did she say?
Oh, that they're the lowest of the low and we just need to get rid of them. That it would be best for humanity if we could just convince all of the lower races to just stop breeding. So they Planned Parenthood on purpose focused on African American and indigenous communities. And poor whites too, but she was part of the Rockefeller Bureau for Social Hygiene. It was a eugenics program.
Wow, so that's interesting. And I've heard some of that in the past, and but like I said, I've never really researched it and looked deep into it. But I'm looking forward to it. So, yeah, Margaret Sanger was also a firm believer in eugenics. and advocated for birth control as a method of achieving this aim. So what Rachel points out in her book, and I had found a couple other authors that had written about this, and it's startling and alarming, especially the things that she said about Black people and how Planned Parenthood is a designed eugenics program to limit the birth rates of minorities and the lower class people and mentally challenged folks as well. So just the complete and absolute monster is the author and the founder of Planned Parenthood, which of course that makes perfect sense when you think about it. And if you're thinking honestly about it, and if you're looking at it with an honest eye, it makes absolute perfect sense. But now it's expanded, right? That we've convinced mothers that we can do this elimination of our own offspring, of her own offspring, as a means to get ahead in life. Like it's literally a sacrifice, as described in the Bible. You've heard me mention before about the wicked, the evil god named Moloch, and Moloch was a big statue with his hands out extended. They would put fire underneath and heat this up, and they would sacrifice their offspring for financial gain, for blessings, for prosperity. So it's no surprise at all, actually. All right, so let's see what else she has to say.
It was a eugenics program. And Planned Parenthood was a eugenics program, and she was so antinatalist. You can find clips of her on the internet now where they would interview her on the radio, and she'd say, if it were up to me, nobody would ever have babies anymore. We just would stop having them because life is terrible and life is hard and it's suffering, and bringing children in the world is a terrible thing. Especially, she said, this is a famous quote of hers, the most kind thing a large family can do to one of its young members is to kill it. And her whole shtick was sold on lies. She told lies about her mother. She said that her mother died from overbreeding, that she had so many children, it just destroyed her body and she died. Not true. Her mom had tuberculosis and died from tuberculosis like half of everyone back then. So she lied about that. She told a fake story about a woman named Sadie Sachs who didn't know how she kept getting pregnant, and the doctor refused to tell her because the bad male doctors just wanted the women to just keep having babies, so they refused to tell them how that worked. Which I went and asked my grandma. I'm like, Grandma, you...
Okay, so Margaret Sanger, bad. For sure. So I think she goes on in this video to explain a little bit more about Margaret Sanger. So, but we're going to skip ahead because I did find this video about how Planned Parenthood is trying to distance itself from the monster that is Margaret Sanger. So here, let's check this out.
Planned Parenthood of Greater New York is removing the name of Margaret Sanger, a founder of the national organization, from its Manhattan clinic. The abortion provider says it made the decision because of Sanger's, quote, harmful connections to the eugenics movement. Pro-lifers are responding. In a statement, Susan B. Anthony List says, quote, the next step for Planned Parenthood is recognizing that Margaret Sanger's racist legacy continues today as abortion continues to disproportionately impact minority communities, especially the Black community. Joining me now on Skype to talk more about this is Dr. Angela Franks, author of the book Margaret Sanger's Eugenics Legacy and professor of theology at St. John's Seminary in Boston. Dr. Franks, welcome to the show. So glad to have you. Let's start right there with the legacy of Margaret Sanger. For people not familiar with the term eugenics, what exactly is it?
The eugenics movement divided people up into either the so-called fit or unfit based on their genetic health and capability. And Sanger completely bought into that movement. It really had its heyday between the 19-teens and really up through World War II. And she was an active part of that movement.
What are some of the views that Sanger espoused when it came to race?
Yeah, with race, it's a little more complicated. Not all eugenicists were racist, and it's really, we don't have a lot of, I think, absolutely clear evidence. Some people think she definitely was a racist. I'm inclined to think she probably wasn't, but it's very clear that she was a eugenicist. And so that means that she considered as unfit people who were poor, people who had physical disabilities or mental or cognitive disabilities, and she considered those people to be, she said at one point, they're like weeds that they shouldn't reproduce. And she considered her work in promoting birth control to be part of promoting a eugenic vision.
What a horrible outlook on humanity. For one, like you're going to look at whether she tends to think that she's not racist. I'm going to get into the book and see what Rachel has found or uncovered in that realm. But just to think that any class of human being is unworthy to live or reproduce because why? Because you're rich and white, because you're backed by the Rockefellers. Come on. That's just so gross. And if it's tied to race also, that which I'll find out. How wicked is that? I mean, honestly. I mean, it's one thing to, for people to say stuff and joke about things and stuff, but if you actually think that it's a good thing that you promote one race over another race to the extent that you're going to create a whole Planned Parenthood eugenics organization around that premise, that is wicked, as evil as this world has seen, in my opinion. You just gonna eliminate people and not allow them to reproduce. Wild. Absolutely wild. Yeah, man, that's just crazy. It's gross. So anyway, I'm looking forward to this book. Let's for fun, let's check out a quote from Margaret Sanger. This is what Rachel was talking about. The most merciful thing a large family does to one of its infant members is to, what does that say right there? I'm not even going to say it. What a gross human being. And this is one of their champions, right? This is one of the feminist champions of all time. I don't know. I just see a monster myself. Anyway, so here, check this out. Check these out. So yeah, I got the book, man. Let me see. We need something to open it with. So let's take a look. Careful not to cut the book. So here it is, folks. My very own copy. I got two. I want my wife to read it, and I know that she follows Rachel, or just started following her, or knows who she is. Anyway, so I got two of these books. I'm gonna check these things out. Well, I'll check out one of them. And here I am, 58 years old, and I hated doing book reports in school, and here I am at 58, and I'm going to do a book report. Yeah, man, I'm excited about it because I think it's important in this day and age. Now that I have the time, I could look into these different things that are important to me and get the true background story of what was going on with these movements. I had no idea. I thought, like most men, I was like, oh, feminism, equality in the workplace, right? Wave 1, I think that's what that was. I don't even know what 2, 3, and 4, and I think there's 4 waves. Anyway, it seems reasonable. But when you look at what the root of the matter is, it's the deconstruction of the family unit. It's the taking mom out of the household, taking her away from the I was going to say responsibility, but the absolute privilege it is to take care of your child, to be at home and raise your kid and have you as mom be the go-to for that little life. And hopefully after reading this book, I could be more prepared to defend mom staying at home. That's Mom should stay at home. Mom should raise the kid. Mom should teach the kid. If she's able to do the homeschooling and stay at home, best case scenario. I mean, as a parent, as a mother, don't you want to give, or even as a father, don't you want to give your kid the best chance possible at life? A happy life, a good life. And happy and good has no, it has no bearing on the amount of money you make. Anybody would take their mom or dad being present in their life over money. At least most would, I think. Anyway, yeah, I'm excited to get working on this book, reading it. Book report. All right, guys. That's all I got for this one. Peace.